And welcome back. So we're going to start by taking a close-up look on this entire hilt. We start with the bottom section. This is the control section box. We're going to discover that in a moment. Try to zoom in. So this is the whole body of the hilt. As you can see, really beautiful. A lot of design elements there. You see the gripping area. Really beautiful. The pommel itself. So we can start off with the pommel. You see a nice deep venting hole there. Nice thick pommel as well. Nice thick materials. Silver plate for the sound venting. Then we have the control section. As you can see, it's a finger magnet, so you can easily get fingerprints on there. And this is a shroud that is placed on top of the black piece here, as you can see. And then we have the control section, which is sticking out quite a bit. I wish it was a little bit more low profile. I feel like it's a little bit too big for my cup of tea. I liked it was a little bit more flat than this, but hey, it's not bad nonetheless. And the reason that it's so high is because, first of all, this piece needs to fit in this section here. So this is how it should look like. So it should be flush. And then underneath, of course, you have the magnet. Oh, let me take this away. So you have the magnet here. The magnet is actually magnetizing against the screw that keeps this whole box in place, and it also keeps the shroud in place. So the magnet should normally be glued on the bottom of this control box piece here. But with mine, the glue let go very easy. So I'll put that to the side for a second. Let's continue with the video. And so the control section looks quite nice. It's a little bit high, and that's because of the screw needs to go inside the hole here and to hold this whole control box in place. So that's why it explains the thickness of the control box and the height of it, because they use this type of screw, so it takes a bit of space in. And that screw actually is tapered into this black anodized piece here in the bottom. Then we have the control section. Here we have the red button. The red button is it's either pressed into place into this control section, so with a press, or it's glued into it. I couldn't figure it out yet. Didn't really let go, as you can see here. Let me get a small light so I can show off. You can see that the red line and then the inner part of the diameter of this hilt here. Put the light to the side. Then we have the ripped section here that goes towards the tin neck area. It has a retention screw for the LED. So the LED is underneath the tin neck section. The tin neck section is around this long because it goes into here in the black piece here, the tin neck. And then inside the emitter itself, it also has a typical Saberforge, a piece of pipe that sticks out, and then you put the blade on top of over the tin neck section here. So the tin neck, in fact, is actually this long. And then we have the blade plug. So let's see if I can show that off to you guys. It's actually not too bad looking. The blade plug itself is also from alloy. Made of alloy, but the piece that goes into the emitter, that is made of a blade, so that's polycarbonate. It's very shiny, very cool. So we're gonna dissect the hilt shortly as an empty hilt, initiate tier. So we're gonna see what everything looks like, all the individual parts. That is especially important for your do-yourself girls and boys that want to install electronics themselves in their Saberforge sabers, which I normally would recommend. So there we go. And the blade plug is loose. So this is the blade plug. As you can see, the blade plug is made of this alloy piece. It looks like this is actually a CoverTech wheel piece here. So I just noticed that there's a little bit of damage here. Not too serious, but there's like this I don't know what it is, like there's this dab of glue. I hope it's a dab of glue. Not sure what it is. Let me see if I can peel it off. Is that glue? No, that doesn't seem to be glue. I don't know what it is. I think oh, I see. It's a piece of the polished part that is scuffed away. So that's unfortunately having some slight wear mark. It doesn't really matter, because if you're going to put a lot of blades in and out of this hilt, this inside will wear and tear a little bit, so it wouldn't look that pretty after a few times use. So it's not a big deal. So how does the inside of the emitter looks like? This here, you can see that quite clear. So this is how the saber looks like without the blade plug, and that looks quite different. In the Star Wars Rebel series, the plasma of the lightsaber actually comes out of this tiny hole, and that's why the blade looks so thin. With the Saberforge, that's a 1-inch blade, a dueling blade, so it looks a lot thicker, and it takes a bit away from the aesthetics of this hilt, because when you put a blade in there, you don't have this pointy blade plug piece here. So yeah, it's gonna look a little bit different with a blade in there, a little bit less Ezra Bridger's lightsaber, but that's just functionality of how this hilt is designed. Now, before we go into disassembling this hilt to show off the different parts, I'm just gonna weigh it really quick so you guys know how much it weighs, so you have a good idea about installing electronics and whatnot and what you can expect. This is a quite hefty hilt actually. This clocks down on 930 lb, which in different units would be 423 grams, almost half a kg. And that is it has a little bit of heft to it for an empty hilt. That is it's decent. I would say it's coming closer to, let's say, a Graflex kit from Corband, for example, in terms of the heft of the hilt. And I kind of like that. I like my lightsabers to be a little bit on the heavier side, so I actually have a feeling that I have something in my hand that is actually substantial. Sometimes lightsabers can be a bit too light, in my personal opinion. Well, the magnet is catching on to something. So next we're going to take a look at the length of the hilt, so you guys have an idea of how long the hilt is. She is, or he is, from start to bottom around 12 inches long. So with the blade plug in there. Without the blade plug, the hilt is around 10.6 inches long, and that is how you mostly will feel the hilt when you have a blade in there, because you will actually dual the lightsaber without that top section, the emitter part, which is just a blade plug. So you will be holding it like this. So it's a good, for me it's a good two-hander. You see, I have a full grip just underneath the control section, all the way to this grip section, or this point here on the pommel. So actually my hand actually wraps perfectly fine about the saber, whereas people with a bigger hands, they might have some issues, but for me it's just perfectly fine, no issues. So that's actually quite comfortable. I see my other hand grips perfectly fine up to the tin neck. Next thing I do is quickly open the hilt and show the various parts as much as I can. So we'll start with the emitter section. Here we go. And this is how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. It has these spacers on there, as you can see, very thin. Saberforge already added that for me. Then, oh, that's a computer booting. And then we have the inside of the tin neck piece. You can see it's a reinforced piece here. So the tin neck actually goes all the way from here to here. That piece here, that inner circle. Can I show that? Yeah. So all the way there. So it's definitely reinforced, as you can see. And then we have the space here. This place is here for the LED unit. So here's where you put the LED unit. This is the retention screw for the LED unit, and this is the retention screw for the blade. And as you can see, that is nearly on the bottom of this gut here. So the blade will fit in around 1 cent. The blade retention screw is actually 1 inch into the emitter section. So around 1 inch deep depth So the blade is actually held in place around 1 inch deep. So that's actually a little bit shallow in my personal opinion, and it can cause blade flapping, and it can cause the blade to fly out much more easy. I rather had it seen a little bit deeper, at least half a centimeter to 1/2 inch. But it is what it is. So that is the so also the bottom. So also you can see there's quite a bit of screws there, screw wire, more than usual. So I'm quite happy to see that. Saberforge upped their threading. And then we have this section here. So we have the main body section. You can see the threading as well. You see the hole for the switch is not only of course drilled, but it also threaded. So you can thread in if you want. You could. No, it's not threaded. So the hole is of course drilled into the main body for a switch, a 12mm switch. As you can see, it's a little bit dirty, a little bit of CNC milling debris in there. They could have cleaned it up at Saberforge, but they didn't, so that's a little bit unfortunate. So it makes me to believe that this red piece here is actually just glued into this control section. This section also can be loosened. So next is this section here, which doesn't bug. No, I can't do it. So I can't undo this part here, but I do know I know that this part is threaded into this piece here, but I can't undo it. So I think Saberforge actually glued this part. So Saberforge glued this red button in, and they glued the threading between this piece here and this piece here. And then the control box is held in place by this screw. So this control box is held in place by the screw, and the same for this shroud piece. They're both held in place by that screw. And then we have the pommel section and the tri-ring. Just dropped the I just dropped the pommel. I got it back. So what we got here is the pommel itself. It's actually quite a solid pommel, quite thick. And I noticed that the black roster is in the inside. So what you can do when you buy the saber, as an initiate saber, you can actually turn around the black part, flip it around, and have the silver part facing inwards, which I actually gonna do because I actually like the black part instead of the silver part. However, the silver part is nicely accentuating the tri-ring, which one of the viewers pointed me out that this is actually a reused tri-ring. There's also to be found on the Prodigal Son. So it's the same piece. You see the circlip that holds the roster in place. So you need a special tool to take this ring out and in, and then you can swap the roster upside down or whatnot. It also has some spacers here to align the parts, and then we have this ring, which is the hole for the tri-ring is all the way through this block here. So that's kind of nice. It's a very flimsy ring though. This tri-ring is very flimsy, and it's also anodized, it seems. So it's kind of funny that a part like this is anodized, because it's very thin, and I rather had seen a thicker material. It's also not fully aligned, but that's just bending the material a bit and then align that tri-ring accordingly. Nonetheless, it's cool that it's on there. And then we have and then lastly, we have the bottom part of the hilt. As you can see, also anodized on the inside, a little bit dust from the CNC milling machine in there. So I have to clean it up a bit, but you can see the threading is nice and thick, more threads than usual from Saberforge. So that's really nice. So that is the whole Saberforge Adept in a nutshell. I think it's a pretty good looking saber. The parts are, in my opinion, quite good made. So